What's up, everybody? It's Ian here today to continue the full Lotus Mastery course where I am taking you guys through the journey to be able to do a full Lotus, this posture right here, for 60 minutes without any effort at all to enhance and transform your life with meditation and pranayama practices. So today, though, we are talking about the Virasana position for meditation. That if you cannot do a full Lotus posture yet, that there is a progression of postures that you can do, and to meditate, not just to meditate in, but to work on your full Lotus position. And one of those is the Virasana position, and it is this position right here. So where you're sitting between your feet, you're not on your feet like this, you are between your feet. And this is actually a really important position. I would say actually one of the most important, especially for people who are having knee problems, because this is this is a very sensitive position for the knees. So first of all, take this very slowly and very carefully, because this is as dangerous, if not more dangerous or sketchy for the knees as a Lotus position. Because with the Lotus position, sometimes your hips can prevent you from like screwing your knee up. But this right here, anyone can come right here and sit into this, right? All you have to do is sit down, and there's really no muscles here either, so you're just going to kind of fall into it. So first of all, if you can't do this, right, first of all, if you've never done this before, I would recommend that you get a bolster or a pillow or something very large to try this on, first of all, and then just sit on it. And this is actually really, I'm kind of getting cut out here, but that's fine. This is a really great position. I usually sit in this position on a bolster for 30 minutes a day. I also sit in the Virasana position on my meditation pad while I'm working and doing stuff, because I work remotely, for another 30 or 40 minutes a day. But this is like a really chill posture, and if it's not, then it's not. But so however high you need to go, that's how high you need to go to start. And that's what I'm trying to advocate here for, is that you can go even higher, that there's this position of the knees, and if you need to go really high, that there's this position right here where your knees are together and they're getting pushed together. And that is important, because if you look at the full Lotus posture, that we're just doing that in a twisted way. It's the same thing, we just are now turning it with an external hip rotation. So let's talk about a couple things, though. A couple things. A lot of people can't do Virasana position, and if you can't do that at all, if you can't sit on a bolster, you can use a block, a bolster. And the way to progress in that is just to sit in it, a lot. I would say at least 5 minutes a day. At least do that for 5 minutes, and then do that every single day, and you'll start to progress. But if you want to move faster, there are some solutions. First of all, there is the half position, where you lean in and you can come here. You can also do this position while sitting on, all my blocks are occupied right now for filming, but you can also sit on something and do the same thing with just half a leg, especially if 2 legs is too much. You can just do 1 leg at a time, and then if you need to, you can kind of take the weight off, lean over to one side if you need to, and mitigate that. So you can do just 1 leg, and in general, just work on this. And you can also, work on the hamstring stretch, which is part of the Ashtanga Vinyasa system. And just sitting with 1 leg is actually really useful too, especially if 2 legs is a lot, because like I said, with 1 leg, you can take some pressure off. You can even lift up a little bit. So that is my recommendation for the Virasana position. Second is to first sit and work on 2 legs, and then work on 1 leg too if you're having trouble, especially if you have trouble with 1 leg. Like, for instance, my right ankle used to have a lot of problems from skiing. I hurt it a lot. So my left leg was fine, I could get into it, but my right leg, and actually my right meniscus, which got hurt and partially torn in jiu-jitsu, was really screwed up. So I would just sit in this position, even on a block or 2, and it took me a while. It was over the course of months that I eventually had no tension or pain at all at any point. Like, I could just get into it when I was waking up out of bed, and I wouldn't feel anything. It took a while, but I did. There are also a couple things that you can do. Quad stretches in general. So one of the easiest quad stretches you can do, obviously, there's the classic pulling your foot, but you can also just do the basic lunging position and pulling the foot in. This is the same position without any of the pressure, though, that you're in full control of this position. And you can obviously increase the length of your lunge and pull deeper depending on your preference. But if you're able to do the position I just did, then your quad is probably able enough to do the position. And you just should just be kind of holding it there to open the knees a little bit more. Also, if you're looking for a more intense stretch, and I'm probably going to go out of camera on this one, is you put your knee on the wall and you get into the same position and then you rest there. And you can also, start leaning your back against the wall and raise the hand that's stretched to achieve a further one. This is also a way, especially if your knee's screwed up and you need to work on your quads or your quads are really tight, to start working on the Virasana position. And if you're trying to achieve a Virasana position for a longer period of time, there are a couple ways that you can do that. Like I said, a couple hacks. A lot of these are actually really good that I just showed, doing pulling the leg in the lunge position or moving against the wall. You can also do the reclined, the Supta position for Virasana by obviously, there we go, coming down. And this is actually really good too. This is way more intense, but this is also another position and that's really good. And if you are struggling with one leg, you can, let's take one leg out. So let's say I take my right leg is folded, my left leg is out. You lay down, and then you pull this other, I probably should have done the other side. Let's try it on the other side. You pull the opposite leg in. And by doing this, and then you can raise this above your head, you get a very intense stretch in the upper quad area, which will really start to open this up. And, just try, and that's, I feel like that is the best specific exercise. I'm going to show that one more time right now. If you want to achieve a Virasana position and hold it for a long time and get the maximal benefit from this position, you should fold one leg in, as so, and then slowly work your way down. Because this even, I feel somewhat unstable for me at times, and you get yourself down, and then you're going to grab the leg, at least with your right hand, and then your left leg can either push this down, right, to get more of a stretch, or to lift up. I don't have the room here. So and just hang out here. And that's actually the most intense, I would say, stretch that you can do. Maybe the one on the wall is about the same, but this one's a lot different, and you're actually working on the Virasana position even more. And Virasana has its time and its place, actually, for meditation in general. That you can meditate in the Virasana position. You can be here and meditate. I do this sometimes, kind of just palms down, and I just kind of rest and relax. I don't really try to meditate or do chakra meditation, but I just do a general meditation in this position of just mindfulness and trying to come back into the moment. This feels really, it's a very grounding position that I enjoy for that reason when I'm a little bit too amped, or like usually, like you said, at work, I just need, and keep a good posture. Obviously, I should have talked about some of this, but it almost does itself. It's like, what should I do with my legs? You can't really move your knees. You can't, everything is almost not rotatable. You're basically in this position, straight spine. Where should my hands go? You can actually do a couple different hands positions. You can do prayer position behind the back if you want, or bound hands behind the back if you're trying to work on opening your chest at the same time as this. You could do cow face arms. That's like the classic position, or not the classic position. Gomukhasana is. But anyway, very important to master the Virasana position, especially for your knees. Like I said, if you look, it's kind of the straight smash to the same leg position of lotus. That lotus is my knee, my calf of my knee and my hamstring are together, but it's externally rotated. That's just the straight version of that. So, and we don't really do and we're going to also work on the externally rotated version of this when we work on the 90-90 position. It's all about just moving our hips in different ways, and that will help them open up, because we can work on our hips more that way. That really, the more time you spend working on it, the more you can do, but you can't spend, eventually you'll overtrain. Like if you just spend all your time doing external hip rotations, like we're doing, then that will cause too many problems. But going straight down, like in Virasana, or doing like the 90-90 position for an internal rotating position of the hips, can do a lot. And also just doing some standing dynamic hip movement, and strengthening work, like going into the 99 position and lifting the leg, holding the leg, and moving it over things. There's a lot of different active mobility stuff too that's really good for the hips that we're going to be exploring in the later videos. But this is my breakdown of the Virasana position as a meditative posture and how to improve it and what it can do for your mastery of the full lotus.